What is up? I hope you guys are having a fabulous freaking day today. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. If you're new, stay tuned. I try to upload at least twice a week. Doesn't matter really when, just, and whenever I go through burnout, I just take a break so that way my content can stay fresh and it's not like I'm forcing it out on you guys. So here we are. What's the hardest thing to make in dreams? So we're gonna just jump into a game I've been making, and this is just a breakdown of if people are just getting into dreams, or if you guys are playing dreams and you're like, hey, holy crap, I want to learn to make something like this. This is for you. So what's the hardest thing to do in dreams? Is it sculpting? Is it making games? Is it making artwork? Is it making music? What is it, young text? With sculpting, all you need to learn how to do is your imagination and learn some tips and stuff. And you can look up my tutorials online. They're pretty good at showing you guys how to sculpt characters, build houses. I even have building tutorials for you guys. You need to know how to, what's the word? You need to have a feel for the Dreams PS4 controls. Once you like the Dreams PS4 controls, then sculpting will get easy, if that makes sense. Because it's really, once you are good with the controls, it's more like Play-Doh. It's more like how you would have created something as a kid using Play-Doh or some clay that you may have used in ceramics. Once the controls are good for you, once you can, do all this, and once you know how to apply it to the current sculpture that you are making. And that's basically sculpting. So is sculpting the hardest? We'll put that up there for our checklist. We will break down all of it as soon as I discuss more. Or is it animating the hardest? I am going to just go ahead and go out on a limb and say, once you understand how to animate, animating is the easiest. Animating is the easiest. You just have to understand how, and it's now whenever I say it's easy to make one attack. It would be hard to make a 10-minute episode because that's more time consuming. The time consuming stuff like making a full-fledged game or even a level, that's over there with the hardest stuff you could possibly make in dreams. And it's not hard because it's hard to learn, it's hard because it's time consuming. Hard because it's time consuming, and within that time consumingness, some of this stuff you actually have to learn a lot of stuff. Now with animating, you don't have to learn a lot of stuff, but if you're trying to make a game, it is time consuming and you have to learn a lot of stuff, such as the stuff that I'm pulling up here. You have to learn a lot of stuff. So it's not just time consuming, you also have to learn a lot of stuff. With sculpting, it's just learning the controls and having a good imagination and understanding art. So it could be up there with being as hard as creating games, depending on what kind of subject matter you're going for whenever you're sculpting, such as realistic, or if you're going for something like this might be hard to make. It might not be. And I've sculpted some stuff. I'll show you guys some of the stuff that I've sculpted. I can sculpt some really good stuff in 30 minutes, if that makes sense. So it depends on how in tune you are with your creativeness. What else can you do? You can do artwork. I wouldn't say that's hard. I'd say that's up there with animating. I'm talking about like, fine arts, drawings and stuff. What else is there? Making music, I would say it's more mild because that can be time consuming too. It doesn't have to be, but depending on what you're trying to compose and how many notes are in your song, it's easy to make a track. It's hard to make a track the way you want to, if that makes sense. So it just depends on what you're trying to do. If you have something specific that you're going for, that might be harder. It just depends on how many, notes you're trying to do. But I would say if you're just going to jump in and you don't have anything, that you're specifically trying to make, it's really easy to make music, in my opinion. And all this stuff is my opinion also, guys. It might vary for you guys, but since I've been doing dreams since the beta, and I am now level 202. I think I can more thoroughly discuss this for you guys. And it's really fun. Like, I would say find something that's fun to you, so that way it doesn't feel time consuming. Because you can like be you could be doing something that's really time consuming, but if you're having fun with it, then time flies, you know what I'm saying? So let me go ahead and show you guys this game that I've been working on, and it was really fun for me to make this. It was one of the easier games for me to make. I don't know specifically what type of game is the hardest to make. I would say, I've been saying this type of game type is one of the easiest to make. I think the hardest would probably be an RPG, just because you have to do the level up system and all sorts of other stuff. The thing that would make a game hard is having to do the same thing over and over again for each level, if that makes sense. Because then it starts making your game making process tedious. And that's why I think mini games are easier to do, because you don't have to do as much of the repetition side, and you can just focus on like a singular level as long as you have a good idea. So like Flappy Birds, it probably was really easy to come up with that idea, and it turned out to be something successful, as well as Angry Birds. But if you're trying to like make an RPG, you have to do a lot of repeated stuff, and I can see how that could be draining. So you might want to work on creating a team of some sort. That way it's not as draining if you think you need to. Just food for thought. And right now the music isn't playing because I have it all turned down, so that way I can like speak. But there is music in this stage, even blasty music and stuff. You might be able to slightly hear it. It shouldn't be turned down all the way. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this stage. I really enjoyed doing this. It's like holy freaking moly. Holy freaking moly. I think I like the camera the most. I think that really helped out, and the gameplay is really good. It's reminiscent of Contra, I think, Cuphead, and the tutorial on how to do this is online for you guys. So start here is one of the fun games. All I really did was just pick the enemy and then put it down from the Dreamverse. So I would say if you like know what to do to make making games faster, also like if you know you can like drag and drop an enemy in there and the game will be good, then it's also going to make making games easier, and it might make making games on the mild side instead of all the hard side, if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and exit out, and I'm going to save. I'm going to talk a little bit more about 3D models, because I did say that I wanted to do that. Here's some songs that I made with lyrics involved, me rapping and some singing. So here is my zombie. And I think it just took me a day to get this down. And it was really fun doing it too. I got the animations and the walking right, and I just had fun doing it. So, is it time consuming doing it? Yes and no. I took the time to get better at my craft, to where I could do it more fast, if that makes sense. So with everything that I'd said, most likely creating games is the hardest, and the hardest type of games are the more tedious type of games, such as RPGs. Maybe a game with RPG elements. Those are the hardest type of games to make also. So like, let's say, the Fallout skill tree, that's RPG elements. Those, I think, in my opinion, would be the hardest type of games to make also. And that's just the hardest, thing to make. However, animating could be as hard as making a game if you're trying to make a whole long animated series, and sculpting could be as hard as all of that too if you're trying to do some really Leonardo da Vinci type stuff. It really just depends on what you're trying to create, how much you're trying to put into it. But however, there's also ways you can make it easier, like whenever I discuss just dragging and dropping an enemy down and then it being compatible for your level instantly, depending on the logic that the person created for it. So there's ways, if you know how to make creating stuff easier, it's where you're not getting as burnt out as quickly. And there's ways to go about that properly. You just gotta take the time to learn dreams and figure out what you enjoy the most about dreams and what can be helpful for your creation process. And typically, the more you learn about dreams, the more shortcuts you'll discover to make it to where you can create faster. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown. I'm Young Text. Thank you so much for subscribing. Again, join the Dreams Amino if you want to. It's an app if you want to join that. You can find people that might collaborate with you there. So join that. Just type in Dreams Ps4 once you download it and whatnot if you do. And thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. More tutorials and stuff on the way. I just I take breaks, you know, that way I put out the best content for you guys, if that makes sense. So that's why I don't upload every day, because I want to make sure the videos that I make are interesting. And if I upload it every day, I wouldn't always have interesting topics, and I think it's very important to actually have interesting topics. So here we are, and thank you guys so much. Peace.